Hello, everybody. Welcome to this. Bonjour à tous, bienvenue. We're with Rob Ramage this morning. The first question goes to Pat Hickey. Pat, you're up.
Hey, Rob. I hope you're keeping well.
Bonjour, Pat. Je suis prêt. I'm ready, man. Let's go.
Just two questions about the COVID and what this has done to. Do you talk about the challenges it presents for the players, some of whom won't have been on the ice for 10, 11 months, and the challenges it presents the organization?
Yeah, it is a big challenge, obviously, unprecedented. So, Frank Bouillon and I have we try and stay in touch with all of our prospects, draft choices on a fairly regular basis. Every few weeks, we give them a call, see how they're doing, how their training is going. We speak with their coaches, see how they're doing. And then, they have the resources of Pierre Allard, sports science, and Patrick Delahoud with, as far as the strength training is concerning, he's in touch with their trainers, off-ice trainers. So it's kind of a cornucopia of things that we're doing. Dr. Scott is available from the psychological sports science end of things. Our medical staff is involved if there's an injury. So, we're doing it from afar. That's all we can do right now, just because of the COVID and the conditions that we're presented with.
How far behind are a lot of the players going to be? How long is it going to take for these guys to catch up?
Good question. You know what? I guess all I can say is, you look at the summer and the playoffs and the level of play. Now, obviously, those guys are all professionals, but these young guys, they train like pros. They're a very serious, diligent group. I really commend them. Their whole attitude throughout this thing has been just remarkable. Very disciplined, very focused group. So, their conditioning is going to be good. That's not a problem. It's knocking the rust off in a game situation. But as your article mentioned today, we do have a number of guys that are playing games right now. So the other guys, that's the big question. Who knows? I just can't, really put a number on something like that.
Rob, thank you. Stay well.
All right. You too, Pat.
Thanks, Pat. Next question, Arpon Basu. Arpon, you're up.
Good afternoon, Rob. Can you hear me? I guess the one thing that is kind of somewhat unique to your team is this hitting when you have such a big group of prospects coming up, like at this moment, just in terms of the timing of this. I mean, it's obviously this was a big year, a big development year for your prospect group. Is there anything you could do to compensate for this, or how do you feel it will impact that group specifically? The guys who are just on the cusp of going pro.
Yeah, well, and you're right. I remember when Ron Tron came to St. Louis as general manager, and his first comment was, "Wow, the cupboard is very bare." Well, our cupboard in Montreal is very full now with prospects, as you mentioned. So it is. It's so much is out of our control and out of these players' control. So it is a big development year. And, we look at a guy like Cole Caulfield, who went to the U.S. World Junior Evaluation Camp, got some competitiveness there. He's at Wisconsin. They're practicing. And the hope is they're going to get playing here in the middle of November. I think right now they're scheduled the 11th and 13th, perhaps to play home and home with Minnesota. That may or may not happen. But you know what? The players are doing what they can, and where they are, wherever they're located, to try and keep their skills up, their competitiveness up. He's got a great program with Tony Granato there, so they'll do game situational stuff. But it's difficult. Once again, it's going to be interesting when we finally get the group all together. Those that have played parts of a season, and those that haven't played a game since last February or March.
And just a quick, are you going to be traveling at all during this time, or are you going to do everything by video?
Yeah, well, so right now, I'm located down in the Midwest in the U.S. So we've got a number of guys in college and in the USHL, and the USHL teams right now are not that far off driving wise for me. I can get pretty well anywhere where they're playing within a day's drive. So I'm hoping to do that next month. The USHL is scheduled. They're playing exhibition games now, and they're scheduled to start up, I believe, November 5th or 6th. I just got off the phone with Brett Stapley, who's at Denver University. They're going into Omaha on December 1st. 10 teams are going to do a bubble type situation. So, we've got 4 guys potentially in Boston at college. So my hope is, if they'll allow us in the building, I have to sneak in and pretend I'm the Zamboni driver. My intention is to get out. I know my wife's looking at me and saying, I need to miss you. So
same here, man. Same problem here.
Same thing. Yeah. You feel my pain. So the hope is, I'm itching to get to a hockey game and watch our guys, especially our draft choices that I've seen very little of, video. That's it. I want to see what it's like.
Sorry, just one last, where are you based exactly?
In St. Louis.
In St. Louis, right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Rob.
You're welcome. Stay well.
Thank you, Arpon. I need to miss you. I like that. Next question, Eric Ingles.
Hi, Rob. Thanks for doing this.
Sure, Eric.
Rob, I'm just wondering, Arpon kind of just alluded to it, but only the Detroit Red Wings have chosen more players than you guys have in the last 3 years. And you talked about the work that you and Francis Bouillon have to do. How challenging is it to balance, 26, 27, or 28 different profiles of players and hit all your kind of developmental goals? And do you think there's a value in potentially, and I know this is not your decision, but in expanding your staff in this area?
First of all, I'm my kids are growing, so I'm an empty nester, so I have time to put into this work, and I get paid to do it. It's a delight to work with these young players. They're a special group. So it's challenging. Hey, it's time management. Your schedules. Just getting to the different locales with this number of players. A lot of times you can double dip. They're playing against each other. It's just good organization. I was a stockbroker for a number of years, and smiling and dialing, and you have to be very organized. So I've been able to carry that into the development work. Expanding. Hey, we'd all love to have a development coach for every player if we could, but there's no revenue coming in right now. So, you do what you can, but I don't find it taxing at all, to tell you the truth. I relish the opportunity, as I mentioned, to work with these guys.
Can you, for people that most of us don't know the specifics that go into that work, and I only mention the expansion stuff because we see a lot of teams now are carrying various skill coaches, skating coaches, all that kind of stuff. So I'm just wondering, when you have to deal with a specific player, what goes into that work of developing them and getting them to the next level?
Well, there's a saying, we overparent and we overcoach. They have a lot of coaches, these guys. Typically in the off season, they have a skating coach. They have a skills coach. They'll have a strength guy. They have their own coaches from their teams that they're playing for. So you've got to be careful walking that line, that you're not piling on more and more information. And that's part of Frankie's and my role, is to just sort out the information they're getting, reinforce the good information, and then try and just help them, guide them in their development process to becoming a pro. We try and help them get those pro habits while they're still playing junior or college. And so I find it's almost more of a lifestyle coach than a hockey coach. They've got a ton of hockey information coming at them, and we'll certainly support that and have our opinion on that. But we have to work with their coaches, and specifically the guy that's behind the bench that's coaching them. We want to make sure that we're reinforcing his message, and so there's no confusion there. So that's, it's just a process. You get to know the kid to begin with, the young player to begin with. There's got to be trust on both sides. They're never going to listen to you, take anything that you give them if they don't trust you. So you're forging a relationship, and you're just trying to impart, some of the lessons that we learned becoming pros and when we were pros, just help them along in that process.
Thanks, Rob. It's super interesting.
Okay, all the best.
Thank you, Eric. Next question, Jonathan Bernier, Journal de Montréal. Jonathan, you're up.
Thank you, Paul. Hello, Rob. Thank you for doing this. I was wondering how important was it for a guy like Kotkaniemi to play at the pro level this fall? Is it at this stage of his career? Is it more important than maybe an older guy?
I'm sorry. I missed the name of the player.
How important was it for a guy like Kotkaniemi to play at the pro level?
Yeah.
More than an older guy?
Yeah. No, I think it's really important for him. And he's home. He's there. You know what? It's a familiar place for him, a very comfortable environment. And so just keep the momentum going that he had this summer, which was wonderful to watch. So, yeah, he's fortunate. I mean, our European guys that are over there that are playing on their old teams for the most part, they're very fortunate. They're really fortunate because they're good programs. It's good hockey, and they're doing what they love. It sure beats hitting the gym and practicing every day.
Is there somebody from the organization on site to see them, or you have to see them only on the video? And what is your relationship with those guys, talking with them about their skills or development?
Yeah, so Hannu Lane is our Finnish scout. So he keeps tabs on them. He'll be at games on occasion also. So he keeps us informed on what's going on with KK and our other Finnish players in Finland. And it's the same for our Swedish players. We have 2 scouts in Sweden that are seeing our guys there play, and they keep us informed.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, bienvenue.
Merci, Jonathan. Prochaine question, next question, Guillaume Lefrançois, La Presse. Guillaume?
Hi, Rob. Thanks for taking the time. We all know there's a lot of uncertainty with CHL hockey, NCAA hockey, as well as the American League, obviously. At this point, is it fair to say that any player who's not currently playing in Europe has pretty much no chance of going there if one of these leagues cancel the season? Like, is it just too late for these guys who are not already elsewhere?
Yeah, it's, I can't give you a definitive answer on that. I will say this, though, that with, as the European leagues are historically, they have their import players and, the hired guns, the mercenaries, whatever you want to call them, that were probably under contract before this ever happened for the season. So sometimes those guys don't work out and they don't last the season. So, there's always a lot of pressure on the import players. So I would think there's a possibility if a team saw one of our guys that he felt might be a better option to come in and fill one of those import slots. But once again, that's conjecture. I'm just guessing. I don't think there's really a hard answer there.
Okay. Now it seems like there's a little bit more certainty with certain tournaments, like there's the Cargella Cup coming up in Europe. The World Juniors might take place. What's the importance of those tournaments for the few players who actually get to play in them?
Yeah, it looks like Jan Misick, our second round pick, Czech player, his team's going. I just saw that today to the Kerala Cup. So that's important for him. I mean, that's great. Great competition. He's going to be playing with some older players. So just excellent opportunity for him. And just a sidebar on him, I talked to him the other day. He's going to sit down here in the next few days with Thomas Plekanec and pick his brain. So what a great opportunity for a young player, a player of Thomas's stature, to speak with one of his up and coming fellow countrymen. The World Juniors, we have Caden Gooley, as you saw today, was named to the Canadian World Junior, development or tryout camp, I guess. It's going to take place in November down in Red Deer. We've got 4 Americans that participate in their camp, and then Jan Misick, of course, with the Czechs. So, I mean, anytime you can play in a tournament like that as a young player, it just helps your development so much. Just the level of competition, the pressure, and all those things is just fantastic for these young guys.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Pour votre information, Paul Wilson a eu des problèmes d'Internet. C'est moi, Charles Saint-Don-Courtois, qui va reprendre le contrôle de la rencontre de presse. Prochaine question, Marc-Antoine Godin. Marc-Antoine, c'est à toi.
Oui, merci. Hello, Rob.
Hey, bonjour.
How are you today?
I'm good. Très bien.
Excellent. Listen, just following up on the question that Guillaume asked you, you alluded to the fact that Cole Caulfield might start his season around November 13th. So that's how things seem to be going with Big Ten. But there are other conferences in the NCAA where things seem to be murkier, like Hockey East and Northeastern, for example. So would the Canadians and you personally be active in trying to find a spot for Jordan Harris or Jaden Struble in the event that their season would not start as hoped?
Yeah, that's certainly Plan B. That would have to be done. And there's junior leagues out east in the U.S. and certainly in the Midwest here at the USHL that potentially we could look into. Sean Farrell at Harvard, if they get shut down, he's in Chicago in the USHL, so he's hedged his bet there, which is good for him. Yeah. So he's going to be playing games up until and if Harvard gets going. So, this is a fluid situation. I mean, you hope for the best, plan for the worst. So, as you mentioned, those are options that we will seriously look into. We're not going to be alone. There'll be a rush to the gates as far as trying to get your kids up on a team and playing.
For the prospects that had arrived in North America, I'm thinking of Ulonen or Vedemo, who are back in Europe to play. What are you looking in their games and in their, apart from just staying in shape or whatever, but in terms of development, what will you be looking from them in the coming months? And also, as a side note to that, what have you seen so far from Matthias Norlinder since the beginning of the season?
Yeah, so first of all, with Lucas Vedemo, I thought he made great strides last year. He was a different player from his first year over in North America. And so it's a continuation of that. Play with more confidence, more assertiveness. The young man's in great shape. He skates really well. He's got a good head for the game. It's just, take that confidence onto the ice. With Yessi, he got over here briefly towards the end of the season. Didn't get into a game, but got to see what was going on in Laval and experience the culture a little bit, which was fantastic. Same with him in the sense that just maturing, the confidence level. Don't be shy. And I think that this is why it's a great opportunity. He's playing, for his old team. So he's once again in a very friendly environment as far as, knowing all the personnel. Matthias, Northerner, I spoke to him yesterday. Oof. He's fun to watch. I got to see him live last year. His defense partner was Toby Enstrom, which was perfect because Toby, great NHL career, was really, really good for Matthias, a young defenseman. But Matthias was player of the game. He had a goal, 2 assists, I think it was, and it was just so much fun to watch. And we've seen some highlights from this year. Speaking with him yesterday, he said he's playing 19 minutes a game right now. He's playing on the power play. And I said, well, how's it going? And he said, well, I'm doing okay, but I need to improve, need to get stronger. He's a humble guy. He's quiet, but there's a confidence within him. And when he's on the ice, you see that confidence come out. So I'm excited. I am really excited about this guy. I don't want to oversell it at all because it's his first year in the SHL. So there's going to be some growing pains, but very determined, hard worker. He's a rink rat. And I'm hoping we see him over here sooner than later.
And if I may, just one part regarding one last prospect, the organization signed a goalie, Demchenko. Have you ever had any contact with this guy? And are you involved in figuring out even where he's going to play?
Yeah, well, I don't speak goalie for one, but he, his agent is in Ottawa. We did a Zoom call with him. There's limited English. So once again, that's, Vincent Riendo is looks for prospects and goaltender scouts and all that stuff. So Vinny's a little bit more involved with him. I did speak to his agent, I guess it was last week, and he'd like to get over here ASAP to just start training and assimilate. So I wish I had more information for you on him, but that's kind of the goaltending department.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Rob.
Okay. Bienvenue.
Merci, Marc-Antoine. Prochaine question, Martin McGuire. Next question, Martin.
Hi, Rob. Thanks for doing this today. Just a general question. Young kids need competition to be better and to feel good upstairs. Are you concerned about the fact that a lot of your young players don't have this kind of competition environment just to be better and just to live,
Yeah, no, great point. And like I said earlier, they have the skills coach, the skating coach, the strength guy. What about a compete coach? And that is actually where Frankie and I do come into play. Because as you mentioned, they need to compete. They need to learn to compete on a consistent and regular basis. So it's something in our talks that we address with them. They all played golf this summer, which was really interesting, and their handicaps have gotten pretty good. But I always say to them, well, do you play for anything? And I'm not talking big dollars or anything else. But when you're playing with your buddies, play for something. I don't care if it's a milkshake. Yes, you can have a milkshake occasionally, but play for something. Put some pressure on yourself when you're trying to make a putt or you got to hit the fairway. And carry that into all the things that you're doing in life, whether it's playing tennis, whatever. And just try and ingrain that compete. So you do what you can, but that's a fair question, Martin, and a very important element that these guys, they check all the boxes with their hard work and everything, but let's make sure you take it to the compete level also.
On that again, do you expect that it will take a little bit more time for a few of these young guys because of that?
Boy, I don't know. I really don't. Once again, we're apples and oranges. We looked at the NHL players. Wow, those first games, when they went into the bubble, it was old-time hockey. I mean, they were dropping the gloves, running over each other. The compete was there. I got to believe the young guys are, they're just going to be chewing at the bit to get back into a competitive situation, play games.
Thanks for your time today.
Okay, bienvenue.
Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Martin. Prochaine question, Jean-Francois Chaumont. Next question, Jean-François. C'est à toi.
Hi, Rob.
Hello.
It's a big if with my question, but if you have a lot of players in North America, in the CHL or in the States who are not able to play for the next few months, could you think about creating a sort of a bubble where you're going to regroup all of those kids and train with them somewhere in the States or somewhere in Canada where it's possible to skate? I know there's school also involved with the kid, but is it something in the plan of the Canadiens?
Not right now. It isn't. And, keeping tabs on each player and where they're at right now, has been something that Frankie and I have been doing to make sure they're in an environment. Who are you skating with? Who are you training with? And making sure that it's just not the beer league pickup game. So, that's what we've addressed thus far. And so far, the guys are doing well with that. But yeah, we get into, January, February, and we've got no hockey playing, no organized hockey. Then I guess we go to plan C.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay, bienvenue.
Merci, Jean-François. Prochaine question. Next question, Jon Lane. John?
Rob, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can, John.
Yeah, it's very nice to meet you. Thank you for taking the time. I just wanted to talk about some of the prospects in the organization, where they're at. First off, what can you expect from when do you expect Jake Evans and Ryan Poling regarding when they can play in the NHL full time? And what have you seen thus far from Cole Caulfield?
Yeah, well, the first two guys, Ryan and Jake, obviously Jake played in the bubble. Ryan was in the bubble, got some time with the Canadiens last season. They're right there. Jake has, I watched him a lot as the captain of Notre Dame, and his progression has just been wonderful. Joel Bouchard has done a wonderful job with him in Novell, and Jake is, he's NHL ready. Now, he's going to be fighting for a position, but his game is at an NHL standard. Ryan, hey, tough year last year. You'll admit that. Little adversity is not a bad thing. And I spoke to him a couple weeks ago, and he's hungry. I said, how was your bubble experience? He said, would have been nice to play, but it made me hungry. It made me hungry. I want to be on the ice with the Canadiens next year. And so he's training hard. I think his attitude's really, really good. And he looks at last year as, hey, you know what? There's a learning experience. We'll take that and we'll move on. The other guy's Cole Caulfield?
Yeah.
So Cole, I spoke to him, I guess on the weekend, both he and Tony Granato. Tony had nothing but great things to say about Cole this season, as far as his work ethic, taking a little bit more of a leadership role than he did as a freshman last year. He said just his whole demeanor since he came back from the U.S. World Junior Evaluation Camp, he said, was at another level altogether. So, but it's important. We got to get him playing. It looks like, as I mentioned, they're going to get going sometime next month. He's hungry. He's hungry. There's talk about him coming out after last season. I think he's in the right spot. Let him mature, physically, emotionally, and he's doing that. He had a good summer. He worked hard. He spent some time in Michigan with his old NTDB buddies, Jack Eichel and the Hughes brothers. So he trained with a pretty good group of hockey players. So, we'll see. Let's just hope he gets a good college season under his belt this year, and then we'll see where he's at.
With Carey Price playing like Carey Price and Jake Allen on board, how does that affect the timetable of a Caden Primo?
Well, I think once again, Caden is still developing. Physically, big body that just needed to get stronger, and this is going to allow him to do that. rack up more minutes, more games in the American League, and there's no negative about that. So as far as the timetable, it's I don't have an answer for you for that, John.
Thank you, John. Rob, just for your information, we have still 3 or 4 questions left. The next question will be to Luc Gelinas. Luc, à toi la parole.
Hi, Rob.
Hey, Luc.
It was really interesting when you talked with Martin McGuire about the fact they need to compete. Your main concern, is it about physically? You said they have strength coach, skills coach, but mentally, are you concerned with all those guys that are 20, 21 years old? They're used to be really, really busy, and now they have a lot of free time, and they want to compete. They cannot compete. They think about their future and everything.
Yeah, Luke, good question. I feel for them. You know what? They're good kids. They're very dedicated. They're very focused. They want to be hockey players, and it's what they love. And so this has been hard for them. So as a concern, you know what? They're also very resilient, and I do believe in the resiliency of the human being. And I think at some point in their lives, they're going to look back on this, and they're battle tested. This is adversity. They're living it. And, Dr. Scott always says, so, when you train with a group, it's easier, but the true test of character is, what are you doing when nobody's watching? And we've imparted that upon them. And I think they've taken it to heart. So we'll see. I'm optimistic.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Bienvenue.
Merci, Luc. Prochaine question. Renaud Lavoie.
Hey, hi, Rob. How are you today?
Yeah, very good.
Good. You look good. Rob, I've got a question for you regarding the vast majority of 15, 16, 17 years old players right now are not playing in their respected league. I was wondering, is that a concern for you when these players are going to be drafted in 21 or in 22 or in 23? Do you think it will take longer for them to play in the NHL?
Yeah, that's the great unknown. You know what? The resources that they have at their fingertips today are so much greater than years past, as far as availability of training and coaching and all of the above. And so, it's a big timeout, I know, but once again, I'm cautiously optimistic that they'll bounce back from this once we're allowed to get back to some form of normalcy.
All right. Thank you, Rob. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Bienvenue.
Merci, Renaud. Et la dernière question, last question, we'll go with Arpon. Arpon, c'est à toi.
Hey, Rob. Me again.
Yep.
There's one thing I want to get your view on. In the last draft, Trevor was talking about how, the number of college-bound kids that they drafted gives them obviously an extended window to evaluate them and develop them. And I think with the number of kids in the pipeline, it allows them to spread out their arrival, I guess. Well, what's your take on the college development route in terms of the amount of time it gives the organization to evaluate the kids as opposed to the brief window you have for players who play in the CHL or another junior league?
Yeah, Arpon, I guess speaking from experience, obviously I was a junior player. I went that route. My son went to Wisconsin. He went the college route. I was, further ahead in the curve development-wise, and so junior was the right thing for me. The college route does give a guy a little bit more time. Obviously, you've got the 4 years to develop. So, it all depends on the individual, I think. Personally, that's my view. Is there an advantage, disadvantage? you mentioned the time factor, and I guess that is the advantage of college. You have more time to do that evaluation, and we kind of fast track the junior kids. But you know what? That's something out of our control. That's a league and a collective bargaining agreement issue. So it's it hasn't been addressed in that realm recently. So right now our college guys are all in school and training with their teams. So obviously that's a big advantage right now compared to the junior guys that we have. Although, Fairbrother's playing in the BCHL, which is great. He's coming back from shoulder surgery, so he's getting a chance to play and test that.
And just one more last one. Obviously, we're anticipating Alexander Romanov making his NHL debut whenever there's NHL hockey again. And there's a lot of anticipation on that, but he hasn't played in so long. I know that it's impossible to know the impact that'll have on him, but how much contact did you have with him when he was in the KHL, if any? And what were some of your views of his time in the KHL over there?
Yeah, so it was a kind of tough situation. He played very well, but limited minutes, because once he said he's not going to sign another contract, they kind of put the screws to him and they limited his ice time. So, which was very frustrating for him. And then yet prior to the World Junior Championships, they upped his ice time, let him get his legs underneath him again so that he could perform well, at the championships. So he was a little bit frustrated, but I talked to him, I think it was 2 days ago, and there's another guy that's just a delight to speak to. I mean, his energy and enthusiasm just comes right out of the phone at you. And so, he said he had a great bubble experience. He loved it. He's anxious to get back over here ASAP. And once again, just his whole demeanor. I mean, he's going to compete. So, where his game is at is, once again, I guess, to be determined. It's sure not going to be for lack of effort. I mean, this guy brings a lot of energy, a lot of spunk every time he steps on the ice.
Thanks, Arpon. Rob, we'll go with one final question. Sure. We'll go with Eric. Eric, it's your turn. You can unmute yourself.
Hey, Rob. Thanks again. Sure. I think Jake Evans is a good example of a guy that up until his senior year was really under the radar when people were ranking prospects in the system. Right now, you have guys like Struble and Harris and Norlinder and guys that you've talked about in the last half an hour with us. If you had to pick one guy who you think might be under the radar that people don't talk enough about, just based on his character and what you see from them, that you could say, you know what, this kid is going to turn a lot of heads and then probably end up graduating and people will be surprised. Who would that be? Who comes to mind?
Well, I can give you a whole list, to tell you the truth. But, we've got a 7th round pick in Denver. That's, one of their offensive drivers, and that's Brett Stapley. And he's going to go into his junior year this season, and he's progressing really nicely. So we'll see. Once again, it's like Jake, his 7th round pick. Mr. Primo, 7th round pick. So I don't know, maybe it's lucky sevens. So we'll see. But there's a number of guys that, we've got a good stable. We got a good stable coming.
Thanks again.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right, Rob, so I'm back. Sorry, I had some issues with my internet.
Okay.
It says my internet is just like me, unstable today. So thanks for doing this. Really appreciate this. And I'll speak to you soon. Merci à tous. Merci à tous les journalistes.
Okay. Il s'en pray. The boys are ready.
Good stuff. Thanks a lot, Rob. Take it easy.
Okay, Bye. You too. Be well, everybody.